What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and I just spent the last few hours playing the Sea of Thieves beta, and I have to admit I was completely wrong about this game. When I initially saw the trailers, it looked extremely boring, and I didn't quite get why everybody was so excited about it. Now that I've actually had the controller in my hand and played it for myself, I can say this game is very, very fun, as long as people are talking. This game is basically a giant playground, allowing you to go on grand adventures, loot ships, and dive for treasure. However, if people are not able to talk, it's not that much fun. This is a game that's kind of a giant sandbox, and enjoying it with others is all of the experience. When you first go into the game, there are basically three options. Solo, where you just sail around a ship by yourself, a two-man team, where you have a tinier ship and it's a little bit easier to drive, or a four-man crew. I highly recommend you get a four-man crew. This is the vessel that's the most complicated and requires everybody to constantly be running around, but it is also by far the most fun and gives you the most opportunities to kind of yell at other players. Essentially, the main goal is of course to go and get some pirate booty, but doing that is kind of a minor aspect of the game as a whole. Really, it seems like you're just supposed to goof off and have fun, and that's when I actually was enjoying myself the most. But let's talk about an actual quest. So what you do is you go to any of these pirate outposts, and there's a vendor who basically sells you a map. By taking this back to your ship, you and all your teammates then vote on which quest you want to do. This gives you a tinier map that shows you a specific island. By going beneath deck of the ship, you can find a massive map. This is where you can see the entire ocean at once, and it's here that you'll actually be making a lot of visits because getting lost is very, very easy. The ocean is massive. It seems like there's probably 25 or 30 islands just in this beta, so I'm assuming the full game may have 50 or 100 islands. Once you've figured out where you're supposed to be going, like in this case, Snake Island, you'll have to just cruise there. Sailing the ship is very, very intricate. There are lots of moving parts. So one person obviously steers, but the other people need to do stuff like raise and lower the sails, try and drop the anchor, and it's really useful to have one person on lookout up top to watch for other ships, because trust me, if there's one thing pirates love, it's sinking each other. The big thing here is to always be communicating, because the person who's actually steering the ship, as you can see, has no sight. You're basically driving blind except for what people tell you. Now another thing is, of course, defending yourself is actually quite hard. These cannons on the side of your ship do a lot of damage and can sink opponents quickly, but they actually require you to load the cannon each time, and that means each time you fire, you need to go below deck and stock up on more cannonballs. You can carry about 10 at once, but between every single shot, you need to reload. At one point, we saw this tiny craft of a person who was sailing by themselves, and we chased them for about 15 minutes. All along, we're trying to shout out to the guy who's steering the ship, "Go left, go left!" This guy who was driving by himself was definitely freaking out. We were taking turns firing every single cannonball we could, using sniper rifles to try and pierce his sails, anything to slow him down so we could catch up. After 20 minutes of chasing, I managed to get right up beside a ship. I loaded myself into a cannon, and I fired myself about 250 feet over to his vessel, trying to grab the ladder to board him. And as you can see, I got the ladder and accidentally pressed let go. I'm such an idiot, and so I fell into the waters, and obviously it was a very stormy night, so I ended up getting eaten by sharks. Luckily, dying in Sea of Thieves isn't a giant deal. You basically just go to this like Davy Jones locker kind of purgatory area for about 30 seconds and then you respawn. You appear back on your ship and everything's good to go. Now let's continue on with the main quest. We have our map, we have a destination, and once we get to it, sometimes there will be a riddle and sometimes it's just a destination marker. So this first one we did here was really, really easy. This one just basically had a very, very small island and it said, go to the southern tip. So we went there, I dug, and I was lucky I happened to be the one that found it first. Taking the loot back to the ship, easy peasy, real simple. However, there are ones that are a little bit more steep in difficulty, specifically this one. We had to go to a place called Snake Island, and it directed us to find a giant stone on the southern beach. So we go there, and it says that we have to walk 9 paces west by northwest. So we count out our steps, dig, and find the treasure there as well. So you're starting to see a pattern here. This stuff on its own isn't that fun. It's just pretty straightforward, lots of little tiny fetch quests. However, with this crew, it was hilarious. We kept goofing off, screwing around every time there were freaking sharks in the water, and here they're giving me cover fire as all these skeletons are coming up out of the ground. The crew is what made this such a fun adventure. All my hours were so exciting and thrilling when I had these people by my side. However, when I was testing this out solo, it was terrible. Rewinding a tiny bit, let's talk about that guy we were hunting earlier. Think about it. While we were on our ship, having fun, shouting out commands, me falling overboard, we were having a blast. However, think about that guy. He was one dude alone on a tiny little ship trying to outsteer people who are taking pot shots at him. He couldn't even actually return fire because doing so would require him to stop steering. I feel like this game is very, very heavily focused on the multiplayer alone, and so because of it, playing by yourself seems absolutely useless, and playing with people who don't have microphones seems absolutely awful. This is one of those games that's not exactly an adventure on its own, it's made for you to make your own adventure. Something where you actually pick up quests, that way you can tell stories later. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a negative, it just seems like it could be a little bit of a detriment to the final game. Now, in this beta, where I happened to run into some hilarious players, it was a really fun time. However, if I did not have all these great people on the ship with me, it would have been extremely boring. These people were getting drunk, playing musical instruments, and just being total silly goofbags. But however, if I didn't have these people here, it would have been me on a boat watching the ocean, which, as beautiful as that is not actually entertaining. This game is going to live or die by the amount of people that are willing to talk and make it fun. If you join a lobby where people don't have microphones, you might as well quit. And I feel like that's a bad thing for the final game, because when you think about it, if your game is built around community, it's going to be a bad news when the community starts to fall apart. But these have just been my random off-the-cuff thoughts about the beta. How about you? Did you get into it? What do you think? Is there a piece of booty that you found that was absolutely phenomenal? Well, let me know about it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad, and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.